the Hope Diamond. In the heart of India's Golconda mines, centuries ago, a remarkable blue stone was cut from the earth. It would become the most famous gemstone in history, but its beauty came at a terrible price. According to legend, the diamond was stolen from the forehead of a Hindu statue, an idol of the goddess Sita. The thief who pried it loose was said to have invoked a curse that would follow the stone across continents and through the ages. French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier acquired the 112-carat rough diamond in the 1600s and brought it to Europe. He sold it to King Louis XIV, amassing a fortune. Yet, Tavernier's end was grim. He died penniless in Russia, reportedly torn apart by wild dogs. The diamond was recut and passed to Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, who wore it at the height of French royal extravagance. Both were beheaded during the Revolution. The stone vanished in the chaos only to resurface years later, smaller and more brilliant. It moved through European nobility like a plague. One owner was killed by a mob, another died destitute. A Greek merchant who handled it plunged off a cliff with his family. The jeweler Jacques Collot, after selling it, took his own life. Evelyn Walsh McLean, the American socialite who wore it casually, watched her son die in a car accident, her daughter overdose, and her husband descend into madness. Today, the 45.52-carat Hope Diamond rests behind protective glass at the Smithsonian. It is breathtaking, flawless, and still. The question remains whether beauty itself can be a carrier of darkness. The Crying Boy paintings. In the mid-1980s, a curious phenomenon emerged across working-class homes in Britain. Mass-produced prints of a tearful young boy hung on thousands of walls, inexpensive decoration purchased from department stores and market stalls. The paintings depicted various children, always with the same haunting expression, large eyes brimming with tears, faces frozen in perpetual sadness. They were unremarkable pieces of art, the kind that filled modest living rooms without a second thought. Then, the fires began. In September 1985, a firefighter in Yorkshire noticed something strange at the scene of a house blaze. Amid the ash and charred wreckage, one item remained inexplicably intact, a framed print of a crying boy. When he mentioned this to colleagues, others reported identical discoveries. House after house reduced to ruins, yet these paintings survived unscathed, not even singed at the edges. The Sun newspaper launched an investigation, and the reports flooded in. Dozens of cases across England followed the same disturbing pattern. Families lost everything to devastating fires, but the crying boy prints remained pristine among the destruction. Public panic spread rapidly. People ripped the paintings from their walls and demanded newspapers organize mass burnings. Firefighters refused them as gifts, even in jest. The artist, Giovanni Bragolin, had reportedly painted orphaned children, some claiming the subjects were cursed from birth. Others suggested the varnish contained fire-resistant chemicals, a rational explanation that did nothing to calm the fear. The paintings became symbols of inexplicable dread, proving that sometimes the most ordinary objects can carry the most extraordinary terror. Mass-produced art had become mass-produced nightmare. The Basano Vase. In the heart of 15th century Italy, a master silversmith crafted an exquisite vase as a wedding gift for a bride in the small town of Bassano del Grappa. It was a work of art, intricately decorated and polished to a mirror shine. On her wedding night, the young bride was found dead, clutching the vase in her hands. The circumstances were never fully explained. The vase disappeared from record, swallowed by time and rumor. Centuries passed before it resurfaced in the 1980s. The vase was put up for auction with no mention of its history. A pharmacist purchased it and was found dead in his home just 2 months later. The vase passed to his sister, who survived only 3 months before her own sudden death. It was sold again to a surgeon, who lasted mere weeks before dying under mysterious circumstances. Each new owner met the same fate, and each time, the vase was quickly passed on by terrified families who wanted nothing to do with it. Word spread through Italy's antique community. The pattern was undeniable. Police eventually issued an unprecedented warning about the object. The final documented owner, gripped by fear after learning the vase's history, threw it from a window in desperation. Authorities recovered it and, finding no family willing to claim such an inheritance, made the extraordinary decision to bury it in an undisclosed location. The vase remains there still, deliberately erased from existence. It proves that some objects carry such weight of tragedy that their only resting place is obscurity. Annabelle the Doll. In 1970, a nursing student in Connecticut received what seemed like a harmless gift from her mother. It was a Raggedy Ann doll, cheerful and innocent, meant to brighten her small apartment, but within days the doll began to move on its own. It would shift positions when no one was looking, appearing in different rooms, sitting upright where it had been left lying down. Then the notes appeared. Scrawled on parchment paper in childlike handwriting, they read, "Help us and help Lou." No one in the apartment owned parchment paper. The student's boyfriend, Lou, grew increasingly uneasy. One night, he awoke to find the doll slowly climbing up his body. He felt searing pain across his chest. 7 claw marks appeared, drawn by invisible hands. Terrified, the roommates contacted a medium who claimed the doll was possessed by the spirit of a deceased girl named Annabelle Higgins. Seeking help, they reached out to renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens determined the doll was not possessed by a child, but manipulated by an inhuman entity. A priest was called to bless the apartment. On his drive home, his brakes failed. His car was totaled, though he survived. The Warrens took custody of the doll, placing it in a blessed glass case in their occult museum. Years later, a young man visiting the museum mocked Annabelle, pounding on the glass. He died hours later in a motorcycle accident. The doll remains contained, but witnesses still report it moving inside its case. It proves that some childhood toys were never meant for children. The Dybbuk Box. In the autumn of 2001, a simple wine cabinet appeared at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. The seller, the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, warned potential buyers not to open it. She explained that her grandmother had kept it sealed since bringing it from Spain, insisting it contained a Dybbuk, a malevolent spirit from Jewish folklore. Kevin Manis, an antique dealer, dismissed the warning as superstition and purchased the cabinet for his shop. That night, the nightmares began. He dreamed of an old hag, brutal and violent, attacking him in the darkness. When he gave the box to his mother as a gift, she suffered a massive stroke the same day, losing her ability to speak. Her first communication afterward was desperate hand signals, "Get it away." Manis attempted to give the cabinet to several friends and family members. Each person returned it within days, reporting the same phenomena: the oppressive smell of cat urine and jasmine flowers, unexplained health problems, hives covering their bodies, and hair falling out in clumps. Inside the cabinet were strange items: 2 locks of hair bound with cord, a wine goblet, a dried rosebud, and a candlestick. In desperation, Manis listed the box on eBay in 2003, detailing every horrifying experience in the description. The listing went viral. The box has been sold multiple times since, each owner documenting escalating supernatural activity. It inspired the horror film The Possession, and now resides in Zach Bagans' haunted museum, sealed in a case lined with sacred objects. The warning from that Portland estate sale proved tragically accurate. The hands resist him painting. In 1972, artist Bill Stoneham created a painting based on a photograph from his own childhood. It depicted a young boy standing beside a life-size doll in front of a glass door with hands pressing against the panes from the other side. The image was unsettling but sold quickly to actor John Marley. After Marley's death, the painting disappeared for decades. In the year 2000, it resurfaced behind an old brewery and was listed for sale on eBay. The new owners included a disturbing warning in their listing. They claimed that the children in the painting moved at night. Their 4-year-old daughter reported waking to see the figures fighting and threatening to enter her room. The father set up a motion sensor camera and captured what he described as inexplicable images. The eBay listing went viral, attracting not just bidders, but paranormal investigators and death threats. Multiple people reported feeling ill or experiencing nightmares simply from viewing the painting online. The auction became international news, a modern haunting transmitted through digital screens. Within a year, both the actor who first owned it and the gallery owner who represented it were dead. Stoneham himself defended the work, claiming he painted a doorway between the waking world and the world of dreams and possibilities. The painting now hangs in a private collection, its current owner refusing to disclose their identity. It demonstrates how art can become a vessel for something beyond the artist's intention, a window that perhaps should have remained closed. The Anguished Man. In a quiet corner of northern England, Sean Robinson inherited something his grandmother had kept hidden for a quarter of a century. It was a painting she had stored in her attic, wrapped and turned to face the wall. Before she died, she gave him a warning he would never forget. The artist had mixed his own blood into the paint, and upon completing the work, he took his own life. She begged Sean never to display it. For years, the painting remained in storage, but curiosity eventually won. When Sean finally hung it in his home, the household was transformed. Family members reported hearing agonized screaming in the dead of night, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. A shadowy figure began appearing in doorways and hallways, a male form that moved with unsettling purpose. Objects fell from shelves without being touched. Doors slammed with violent force when no windows were open. Sean began documenting the phenomenon with video cameras. The footage captured unexplained wisps of smoke, orbs of light, and electronic voice phenomena that seemed to respond to questions. His recordings have been viewed millions of times online, sparking fierce debate between believers and skeptics. The psychological toll on his family was severe, with sleep disrupted and nerves frayed by constant paranormal activity. The painting remains in Robinson's possession to this day. The identity of the tortured artist who created it has never been confirmed, and the activity has never ceased. It proves that some art captures more than an image. It captures something of the creator's soul. And when that soul is in torment, the suffering never truly ends. Robert the Doll. In 1906, in the sun-drenched streets of Key West, Florida, a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto received an unusual gift. A life-size doll, nearly as tall as the child himself, dressed in a white sailor suit and clutching a stuffed lion. The gift came from a Bahamian servant, a woman some say the family had mistreated, a woman versed in the old ways of black magic and voodoo. From the moment Robert took possession of the doll, something shifted in the household. The boy insisted the doll shared his name, and he would be called Gene from that day forward. Neighbors reported hearing two distinct voices coming from the boy's room, one high-pitched and childlike, the other deeper and more sinister. Furniture was found overturned, objects broken, and young Robert would scream in the night, claiming Robert the doll had done it. His parents dismissed it as childhood imagination until they too began to witness the impossible. The doll's expression seemed to change. Its head would tilt to different positions, and a sound like giggling would echo through empty rooms. Gene kept the doll into adulthood, their bond deepening into something unhealthy and obsessive. When Gene married, his wife immediately sensed the malevolence. She demanded the doll be locked in the attic, but even from there, it exerted influence. After Gene's death, new owners moved into the house. Their young daughter was terrorized nightly, screaming that the doll wanted to kill her. The family donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, where he remains today behind glass. Visitors are warned they must ask the doll's permission before taking photographs. Those who mock him or photograph without asking report camera malfunctions, car accidents, and strings of bad luck that follow them home. Thousands of letters arrive at the museum each year, apologies from people begging Robert to lift his curse. The doll sits motionless in his case, head tilted slightly, black button eyes watching everyone who enters. Museum staff refuse to be alone with him after dark. It demonstrates that some childhood companions never let go, and some objects choose their owners rather than the other way around. The Delhi Purple Sapphire. In 1857, during the chaos of the Indian Rebellion, a British soldier named W. Ferris committed an act of sacrilege. He looted a large gemstone from the sacred temple of Indra in Kanpur, unaware that he was stealing far more than precious stone. The gem, despite its name, was actually an amethyst, but its true nature mattered little compared to what it carried with it. From the moment Ferris claimed his prize, misfortune shadowed his family. Financial ruin came first, followed by a cascade of unexplained illnesses. His son's suicide marked the darkest chapter of the curse. The stone passed through hands like a contagion. Decades later, it came into the possession of Edward Heron Allen, a respected scientist and writer who prided himself on rational thought. His experience shattered that confidence. He attempted to destroy the gem, but it proved impervious to his efforts. In desperation, he gave it away 3 times. Each recipient returned it, terrified by the misfortunes that had befallen them. Heron Allen threw the sapphire into Regent's Canal, hoping the waters would claim it forever. 3 years later, it was dredged up and returned to him. Finally, he sealed it within 7 boxes, surrounded by protective charms and explicit written warnings about its malevolent nature. Upon his death, the gemstone was donated to the Natural History Museum in London, where it remains locked in a vault. The curse serves as a monument to colonial plunder, a reminder that some treasures demand a price too terrible to pay. The Muramasa Blades. In the 16th century, the island of Japan was a world of warring clans and masterful swordsmiths. Among them was Muramasa Sengo, a legendary craftsman whose katanas were said to possess an unmatched sharpness. But his blades carried something darker than mere edge. They were forged with such intensity that they were believed to hunger for blood, compelling their wielders toward violence whether in battle or in peace. The swords could not rest while sheathed. They demanded to be drawn, to cut, to kill. The most prominent victim of this curse was the Tokugawa family, destined to unite Japan under a shogunate. The clan's patriarch was killed by a retainer wielding a Muramasa blade. His son suffered a severe injury from another. When the grandson, Tokugawa Ieyasu, himself was cut by a Muramasa sword, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Upon rising to power as shogun, Ieyasu issued an immediate decree. All Muramasa blades were to be surrendered and destroyed. Possession became a crime punishable by death. Samurai families faced an agonizing choice. These were heirloom weapons, symbols of honor and heritage, yet they carried undeniable darkness. Many were secretly broken and buried. Others were hidden in temples or thrown into rivers. The few surviving blades are now kept in museums under strict protocols, handled only during purification ceremonies. The Muramasa curse demonstrates how an object of supreme craftsmanship can become an object of terror, and how a weapon designed to protect can become the greatest threat to those who wield it. The Myrtles Plantation Mirror. In 1796, a grand plantation rose from the Louisiana soil, its white columns gleaming in the southern heat. Within its walls hung an ornate mirror, framed in dark wood, reflecting the lives of those who passed before it. The Myrtles was already a place of whispered stories, but this mirror would become its most infamous fixture. According to legend, a slave woman named Chloe sought revenge against the family that owned her. She poisoned a birthday cake with oleander leaves, killing a mother and her 2 young daughters. As tradition dictated, the mirror in the hallway was covered to prevent the spirits of the dead from becoming trapped in the glass, but someone failed to cover it completely. The souls of the murdered family were said to have been captured within its reflective surface, unable to move on. Visitors to the plantation began reporting strange phenomena. Handprints appeared on the mirror from the inside, small and child-sized. Drip marks formed that could not be cleaned. Most disturbing were the faces, pale and anguished, sometimes visible in photographs even when invisible to the naked eye. Paranormal investigators counted 9 handprints in total, always returning no matter how many times the glass was cleaned. Some claimed to see the outline of a woman in period dress. Attempts at exorcism proved futile. The mirror remained, and the phenomena continued. Today, the Myrtles Plantation operates as a museum and bed and breakfast, drawing thousands who hope to glimpse something beyond the veil. It demonstrates that some reflections show more than just our own image, revealing perhaps the trapped moments of tragedy that refuse to fade. The Goddess of Death statue. In a modest temple in Singapore stands a statue that locals approach with profound unease. Carved from stone, it depicts a female deity associated with death and the afterlife. The figure is unremarkable in craftsmanship, but what surrounds it is a pattern that defies rational explanation. Over decades, women bearing a physical resemblance to the statue's features have met untimely and often violent ends. The similarities are specific: a particular facial structure, certain proportions, a distinctive arrangement of features that mirrors the carved goddess. The first documented cases emerged in the 1980s when temple worshippers began noticing the deaths. A young woman who had been photographed near the statue died in a traffic accident days later. Her photograph revealed the uncanny resemblance. More cases followed with disturbing regularity. Another woman, pointed out by neighbors for her likeness to the deity, succumbed to a sudden illness that baffled physicians. Then came a series of suicides, accidents, and unexplained medical crises, all sharing the same thread. Families living nearby began moving away, and some women reportedly sought cosmetic procedures to alter their appearance and distance themselves from the statue's visage. The temple installed warnings and priests perform regular protective rituals, yet the pattern persists. Investigators have attempted to establish statistical probability, but the concentration of deaths among lookalikes in proximity to this specific statue exceeds chance. The curse remains active in the modern world, a bridge between ancient belief and contemporary tragedy. It demonstrates that some fears transcend culture and era, rooted in patterns we observe but cannot fully explain. The Terracotta Army's curse. In the spring of 1974, farmers digging a well in Shanxi Province, China, struck something unexpected beneath the dry soil. What they unearthed would become one of archaeology's greatest discoveries, a vast underground army of 8,000 life-size terracotta warriors buried with Emperor Qin Shi Huang over 2,000 years ago. Each figure was unique, crafted with meticulous detail to guard the emperor in the afterlife. The discovery captivated the world, but those who worked closest to the site began to notice something disturbing. Excavation team members fell inexplicably ill with respiratory problems and neurological symptoms. Accidents plagued the dig site with unusual frequency. Several archaeologists died under mysterious circumstances, their deaths attributed to unknown causes. Scientific analysis revealed the source of some afflictions, dangerous levels of mercury contamination in the soil. Ancient texts claim the emperor's tomb contained rivers of flowing mercury, a toxic moat designed to preserve his body and punish intruders. The concentration was so high that it remains deadly today. Beyond the chemical hazards, workers reported an oppressive atmosphere near the central burial mound, a sense of being watched and unwelcome. The Chinese government has deliberately left the emperor's main tomb chamber unexcavated, citing both preservation concerns and the very real danger that ancient booby traps may still be functional. The site stands as a monument to imperial power and a warning. Some tombs were meant to remain sealed, protecting not just their contents, but those who would disturb them. It proves that the dead can still defend themselves across the gulf of millennia.